Writing a series, the theme. I'm Karen Beery with Right Now Editing, where we turn good manuscripts into great books.
And I'm Peg Thomas, multi-award winning author and editor, and we are two editors for 5 minutes. Set that timer,
Set
Karen.
the timer and watch the timer, Karen.
Watching it would be good. Yeah.
All right, so we've already talked about connecting characters. We've talked about the saga, and this week we're going to talk about a series that's connected by theme. What
We
does
love
that
themes.
mean? Yes, Peg loves
I
themes.
love themes.
She has written how many series based on themes?
Two. Two of them.
And
Yes.
what are the two themes you wrote about?
The first one was my Forts of Refuge, and that was set during Pontiac's Rebellion. It's an often forgotten war between the French and Indian War and the Revolution. And there were only three forts that did not fall to Pontiac's forces. And so I set one book at each of the three forts. These stories literally happened at the same time. So they have no interconnecting characters. Um, well, there's one, but I don't want to spoil it. You might pick it out in the stories. But anyway, they basically have no interconnecting characters because they were taking place at the same time. But one is in Fort Detroit, right, Michigan. One is at Fort Pitt in Pennsylvania, and the other's at Fort Niagara in New York. And this is 1763. So they weren't, hopping an Uber and going in between, right?
Yeah.
So they're connected because they're dealing with the same issue. They're all three dealing with forts that are involved in this conflict and taking refuge in the forts and just life of the uncertainty of attack and all this. So they're going through the same type of situation in three very different places. So that one was fun to write and fairly easy to write. The nice thing about something like that is I only had to do the research once, right? Because I researched the Pontiac's Rebellion one time, did all my background, did all of that stuff. And that was a lot of work for the first book, but then I got to the second book as well. Hey, I already know the research.
Yeah.
So I could just write the second book and I get to the third book and I was breezing by then. So that was pretty easy. And then my second one that I did, I set up as the heroes are all ex-cavalrymen from the Civil War. And how did they have to rebuild their lives? And that was kind of taken from my own great great grandfather, who was an ex-cavalryman after the Civil War, had to rebuild his life, right? So it got me thinking about how they would do it. And again, all three stories take place essentially at the same time frame, right after the Civil War, in three different areas of the country. But they were facing similar problems. And it's fun when you do that kind of theme to look at all the angles. So the first one, he was from the north, she was from the north. The second one, he was from the north, she was from the south. And the third book, they were both from the south. So I got to look at the situation from every angle. And again, I only had to do my research once, um,
And
and
it,
then build on it.
the fun thing I think too about theme is you could, I mean, literally within theme, as long as the topic's the same, you could even write, if you wanted to, as one author, explore different genres. What if you wrote around the theme and you could do one historical in this theme and one contemporary in this theme, and you could do like a speculative future or something that I think a lot of people don't think of as like a theme series, but I consider a series would be like the novella collections. So I know Peg's been in a couple of
Yes.
novella collections where one was lighthouses. All of the stories were historicals at a lighthouse.
Yeah.
And so that was fun to read too for me because I got to see all of these different authors,
Hmm.
see their different writing styles, different, and they're going to put, their different voice. Um, but they all just have one central thing. So I think for me, an encouragement for new writers would be even possibly if you're new to writing or you don't want to write something quite as long, you're not sure, maybe even talk to other writers about all of you writing a series together, a novella series. So that would might even be a nice way to kind of dip your toe into writing a series because there is that common thread, but you can be as different from each other as you want to be
Oh, yeah.
as long as you
Yeah.
have that common
And
element.
and you see that with World War II, right? There's a
Hmm.
number of books out there where different authors have gotten together and written World War II stories
Hmm.
that they put out together. I've seen several of those.
One of my favorites was a group of contemporary romance authors that all took a fairy tale and did a contemporary retelling of the fairy tale.
Oh
So you
yeah,
knew every story was going to be would go back to one of the fairy tales we all know. But again, little different vibe, different voice. Oh, there goes our timer. Um,
all that good stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I think my encouragement for a new writer who wants to see what it takes to write a series, this might be the one to break in on because you could write a series without having to write all of the books yourself.
Yes. And you could write all the books yourself, and it's less work than the saga or the connected characters.
Because
So
you don't
it's a,
have to match timelines, you don't have to
right,
match characters. Everything
right.
can be completely separate.
So it's the I think the easiest of
Yeah.
the three types of series. It's a good way to get your feet wet with a
Yep.
series.
All right. That wraps up our series on serieses. It's probably serieses, but it just sounds weird. But come back next week. We haven't thought that far ahead. So next week's going to be a surprise for all of us. Until then, I'm Karen Beery.
And I'm Peg Thomas, and we'll see you next time.